on the topic of pedagogical methods for developing interdisciplinary approach in teaching. So we are honored to have Sir, and I hand over to Surya for the introduction.
Thank you, Priscilla ma'am. I am privileged to introduce to all Dr. Govind PC, Assistant Professor, School of Legal Studies, Cochin University of Science and Technology. He was graduated from University of Calicut and did his post-graduation and doctorate in law on Indian law on clinical trials, a human trial perspective from Cochin University of Science and Technology. He has a total of 13 publications, including a Journal of Indian Legal Thought, Cochin University Law Review, Christ University Law Journal, International Journal of Humanities and Social Sciences, etc. He has a great personality and was a resource person in many national seminars and workshops. I welcome Govind sir to this session.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Surya and Priscilla. Hope I am audible to all.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, fine. First of all, regrets for making you to join a bit early today for the session. You are supposed to start by 10 o'clock, but I have some other engagements. That is why I made you all to join by 9. Sorry for that. Anyway, we can just move on to the topic of the day, that is the pedagogical methods in interdisciplinary teaching learning process. So exactly, I'm not an expert to speak on this subject. First of all, I will tell that I have some experience in taking papers in interdisciplinary manner, and moreover, I have read some literature relating to this. So I'm just trying to share my awareness about the interdisciplinary programs and how the teaching learning process can be made in an interdisciplinary atmosphere, or how a classroom of interdisciplinary nature can be made. I will try to share some slides, but exactly those slides are not the literature that I am relying upon or which I am trying to convey. The slides or the PPT do have only some points which seems to be relevant in the context of, or some points which hints or which will be thought-provoking in a sense to think about the topic of the day. So let us go through the slide, and I think I can add more through giving you a lecture. So hope the slide is visible now. Is it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So just to start with this, we are having some illusions. Simply some illusions. We are using many terminologies while we are having our programs being offered. For example, whenever we use the word program, you know, the OBE system have converted the nomenclature of the degree, the course, everything that we usually use. So whenever I use the word program, I am referring to offering of a particular degree, whether it be a graduate degree or whether it be a postgraduate degree. And whenever we use the word course, I am referring to a particular subject that is part of a program. So I just want to hint some illusions that we are having in our system or in our practice. So you can see the word integration, the word interdisciplinary, the word multidisciplinary, the word multiple degree, the word portability of degree. And we are having a set of inconsistent policies relating to our academic structure. So why I use this word integration, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, etc., because you should be very cautious while using the word interdisciplinary now. Interdisciplinary was actually a method of taking a course in a manner that we are integrating two different disciplines together for offering that particular course. So the interdisciplinary structure that we are going to refer today need not be something that we call as an integrated degree. For example, when we talk about integrated degree, our BCom LLB course, the BBA LLB course, or BA, BSc LLB, BTech LLB, all these can be called as something that is a result of integration of degrees. So in integration also there is an element of interdisciplinary approach. In integration also you can see there is an element of interdisciplinary approach. And when you come to multidisciplinary, this is a nomenclature that you can see very frequently being used after the NEP 2020 in India. So we are trying to offer a kind of a degree which is of a new kind, where you can see different disciplines are combined together so as to offer a particular degree in a program. So multidisciplinary approach, you are allowed to have an exposure to multiple disciplines at the same time. So that also is different from what we call as integration of degrees or interdisciplinary degrees. So sometimes multidisciplinary can be potentially a terminology or a name that is going to govern what we call as interdisciplinary in future. So multidisciplinary is not the content that we are having now for our discussion, because we have to wait and see what this multidisciplinary courses are going to offer in the coming future. Multiple degree or double degree system was also something which was in existence for a long time. For example, you can see many Bachelor of Arts courses were offered in the form of a double degree course. For example, you can have BA Literature with Sociology, you can have BA Literature with Political Science, we can have BA Literature with some other language. So you can see this there also, you can see there is an integration of degree. In a sense, that approach also can be called as a kind of interdisciplinary learning, or there is an element of multidisciplinary approach in it. For example, many aided colleges in Kerala were offering BA History along with English, BA Sociology along with Malayalam, like that. So again, you can see there is an integration of literature with a social science branch. So two disciplines, humanities with social science, is being blended. And you can see economics is blended with some other science disciplines. You are having some integrated course like that, where you are getting two separate degrees. There also the learning process will be having an interdisciplinary element in it. And now you are having the portability of credits, or you can have a portable credit with which you ultimate result will be sometimes a degree which you are not intending, because you are moving throughout the universities or throughout the colleges with your credits on, and ultimately you will be having a degree in a particular discipline. So in the future, you are also going to see something like that happening around us. Again, we have to think there, all these are the consequences of interdisciplinary learning. If you think about integration of degree like BBA LLB, BCom LLB, what we talk about, interdisciplinary approach is there. And even you look at the multidisciplinary concept in the NEP 2020, and also if you think about the multiple degree or double degree system that you are going with, in all that you can see there exists an element of what we call as, or what we supposed to address as, this interdisciplinary learning. Now, the question is why there should be such an interdisciplinary approach, or this interdisciplinary approach is something novel or not? That is one important or the first question that we need to answer. And here I will make a remark, and that remark is purely my personal remark, because as we thought of knowledge or the idea of things that we were having, the thesis that we were having, as Immanuel Kant pointed out, the idea that we are having is a corpus of knowledge. So if you look at the legal theory, you can see there was a debate happening between Locke and other scholar called as Leibniz. And if you look at the that quarrel which was happening, it was between the presence of mind and presence of wisdom behind knowledge. How knowledge is being created. This was the general debate. So knowledge actually may be, or it was, a corpus of ideas. So inherently knowledge is interdisciplinary in nature. It is not purely independent. It is not at all a pure science. This is my personal view. For example, if you take any law or any discipline, you can see there is an element of, or there is some element of interdisciplinary ideas in it. You can see there is a blend of economics, there is a blend of history, there is a blend of science, biology, physics. Everything is coming together. Even if you take literature, you can see there is ethics. Even if you take literature again, you can see there is the conception of justice. There is the conception of good and bad. And there can be even the conception of some philosophical ideas. So no piece of knowledge or no knowledge can be called as pure as something that we envisage as an opposite to an interdisciplinary thing. So interdisciplinary nature of knowledge itself facilitates what we call as this interdisciplinary learning. So that is the first and the foremost justification why we should have interdisciplinary learning. For example, I will give you the IPC. As we are all law, I think all of us gathered here are from law background. So if you take a statute, or if you take the one provision in IPC, you can see that provision may need the input of various disciplines, even that we are not expecting, for its interpretation, for its for a kind of application, etc. So knowledge is not limited to a particular pure discipline. So that exactly demands a kind of interdisciplinary learning. So this is the first important aspect that we need to keep in our mind for justifying interdisciplinary learning. And that is why whenever there is a syllabus revision, or whenever there is a policy on academic matters being adopted by the government happens, it always suggests for what we call as interdisciplinary learning. So this interdisciplinary learning is exactly a kind of process which is quite inherent to the learning process. It is quite inherent. It is inbuilt in a sense. It is quite natural. So don't think that while engaging in or while taking an interdisciplinary class, or while offering an interdisciplinary degree, you are doing something great, or you are doing something different from the normal course. Sometimes it might be because in practice you were not in a position, or you were not in a practice of offering degrees in a different manner, in a sense, in a different manner. Why? Because you may be sticking on to the syllabus, You may be sticking on to the literature that is related to the syllabus. Sometimes your teaching methods may be purely confining to some particular disciplines or subject, but inherently it is not like that, or it is not supposed to be like that. So that is the first important aspect. You need to explore all the areas which is potentially related to the concept that we are discussing. So normally we come up with different illusionary words, or some words which we may feel that something which is complicated, which is not in existence, but truly it is not like that. It is in existence. All these conceptions are there. That is why we have a numerous branches of study. For example, if you have social science as one branch, now you are dividing that branch into different disciplines. And even if we consider it as a potential area from where new disciplines are coming up. For example, econometrics is coming out from economics. Statistics is coming out from your basic ideas of mathematics. You are having different kind of laws evolving from the existing law. So like that, you can see there are areas which are coming out from the existing disciplines. So all the new disciplines that we see around us, any discipline that we see around us, was basically connected to some other areas earlier. So in that sense, I like to argue that all these terminologies are illusions. In a sense, these are creating some kind of changes, or suggesting some kind of improvements. But actually that kind of an improvement is not fundamentally theoretical. It is not a theoretical improvement, but it is an improvement that we bring in our practice. It is a change that we bring in our practice. We practically do things in a different manner. That is only the difference that is affected. So while discussing interdisciplinary learning, what all things we should have? We have some expectations, we have some aims, and we have some outcomes. So I will try to link why expectation, why aim, and why some outcomes. Expectation actually is, you are not supposed to compromise the basic knowledge about a discipline. So if you are offering a degree in law, and that too in an interdisciplinary manner, you are not supposed to compromise the expectations. And one of the most important expectation is, the integral element of the basic discipline shall not be compromised. Or for making something interdisciplinary, you are not supposed to take away the basic conception. For example, you want to make the instruction of a law degree in an interdisciplinary manner by introducing certain few elective papers which are enabling this interdisciplinary learning. We are introducing some elective papers that enables the interdisciplinary learning. So what kind of compromise you can do? See, what we do in practice is, for adding more elective papers, or by adding elective papers, if you are making our course more interdisciplinary in nature, we are avoiding some papers which are giving us some theoretical perceptions. For example, you may avoid the interpretation of statutes from your syllabus. You may avoid the papers like jurisprudence. Or sometimes you may confine a big paper into one course. For example, we are running our law of crimes paper in two parts, part 1 and part 2. So for enabling another course into the program, what you will do is you will try to combine these two papers and identify a space for another paper. Otherwise, you will be manipulating or changing the credits. For example, a 4-credit course will be confined to a 2-credit course by bringing down the components in the syllabus. So all these things are not expected exercises as a part of interdisciplinary learning. There are some expectations. You cannot compromise the worth of the basic degree that you are offering. Second expectation is the fundamentals should be there for offering any degree. If a person is not having an idea about the fundamentals, you cannot offer a degree as such. So every degree should be or every program should be so designed to enabling the enabling the fundamentals to be offered about different areas of the core paper. And what are the aims and outcomes? See, aim is nothing but we are going to discuss that in detail in the coming slides. The aims and outcomes is exactly to have a prospective application of knowledge. I will give you a simple example. For a person who is supposed to develop policies on behalf of the government, for a person who is implementing certain policies of government, he should be a person having a broad view about a particular theme or a subject. Why he should have a broad idea or knowledge about a theme or a subject? Because if they are not having a broad area or a theme, it will be very difficult for them to process and go ahead. So we should have an idea about the possible intersections of a subject. For example, there will be some area where law and economics intersect. There is a sociological element in law. There can be a philosophical element in law. If you take a decision relating to religion, if you take a decision relating to your cultural diversity, in all those instances, there should be a philosophical notion about the existing principles or rules for the person who is trying to evolve or change that rule. Simply, you can take the example of reservation policy. If we are deciding to disturb or to improve or change the reservation policy, that person should not only know law, but he should also know something beyond that. He should know the social, cultural, and other religious aspects of the society. So it is very difficult for a person to act with his sole expertise or the only expertise in a particular area of knowledge. So prospective application of knowledge, whenever you are applying the knowledge in a potential areas or some areas where that is going to have an impact on the future, there also you have to be very, very careful. And actually the best outcome, as I know and as I suggest, of interdisciplinary learning is to enable a student to look forward, as well as enable a teacher to look forward and see what is the changes that you are expecting in the society, and what kind of a role that this particular discipline is playing in that. So that knowledge actually can be mooted or can be upgraded by an interdisciplinary approach. And See, in interdisciplinary learning, see, there are some important aspects that we need to keep, and this is actually again a continuation of the previous points that we have made. See, normalcy of syllabus, I have already mentioned. The syllabus content should be normal in a sense. You need not want to bring in the interdisciplinary elements into the syllabus as such. For example, if you can connect medical science with law, many universities will be having the paper like law and medicine. When you draft a syllabus, I personally believe that you need not want to introduce a specific science and technology element into the syllabus so as to discuss it. For example, if you want to talk about sex selection, the legal perspective of sex selection, you need not want to be very much particular about adding the methods of sex selection in the syllabus. You need not want to add that. That is my personal view, in a sense that if you add that, the teacher or the concerned teacher will be talking about it much, and you will compromise the law areas. So you can just mention as a post-mortem, you can just mention as abortion, you can just mention it as the prenatal diagnostic techniques, something like that. So if you use a scientific name or a procedure as a part of it, by that itself you can connect it to the different laws. You need not want to be more elaborate on which all laws can be brought into this, or which all terminologies is to be used as a part of a syllabus. So the syllabus need to be remain as normal, which is appropriate for the program that we are offering. And you can add on things in the way of exercises. For example, in your lecture, you can add it in a kind. You can also add that as a part of your problem practices. You can also add that as a part of assignments. All these things you can do, but the syllabus is good to be as normal, covering the important areas of that particular interdisciplinary area of learning. And what the student is expecting from an interdisciplinary learning is very important. Interdisciplinary learning, from my experience, is effective only if the student is ready to receive such a kind of instruction. For example, in any classroom, you can have students who are good, who are average, and who are below average. So this interdisciplinary discourse will be effective only if a student is having the capacity to receive such kind of a knowledge which is blended, or which is having more ideas or themes than that he is expecting actually. Sometimes a student is not thinking of you discussing section 309 of IPC, attempt to suicide with euthanasia. A student need not want to go for the philosophical part of discussion. A student need not be comfortable with some kind of accountancy, or some kind of mathematics coming into that syllabus. You can feel that very clearly when you are running an integrated degree like BB LLB and BCom LLB. Students seeing or feeling difficulty in handling some papers that come as a part of their integration. So there is an expected student community before you. You have to be very clear that the expectations of the student community is addressed. So interdisciplinary method should not defeat the demands of the students, in the sense what the student is demanding. or what the student is expecting need not be suffered by this. A student should be provided with what all things they need, and you have to see the system should have a one-to-one approach. That is the most difficult area in interdisciplinary teaching method. For example, if you see the pedagogy, if you have a common style, and it is very difficult to progress with. There are some students who will be staring at what is happening when a lecture on a particular or a simple area is being delivered, by making it in an interdisciplinary manner. So expectation of the students are very important, and it should be addressed. And where it can be addressed is, again, I come back to the first point, it should be within the normalcy of the syllabus. So a person should be having an approachable syllabus for learning. You need not want to make the syllabus so interdisciplinary that some persons cannot survive within that syllabus. That kind of a practice will not be healthy. And ability and diversity of students, as I mentioned, is very important. It should be addressed by the syllabus again. The teacher should be having a self-confidence or a self-reliance. The teacher should be having the hope for offering a subject in an interdisciplinary manner. The course can be offered in an interdisciplinary manner, and it is purely based on the confidence level as well as the knowledge level of the teacher. For example, where you are integrating things, where you are trying to connect things with a different discipline, it should be left as the choice of the teacher. If it is not left as the choice of the teacher, again, I think it will be very difficult to run a course throughout a period. Sometimes in the preliminary stages, the teacher may be successful in offering it, but at a later point of time, this interdisciplinary learning will be creating some kind of confusions. I will give you an example. If you are offering a particular subject in an interdisciplinary manner relating to science, technology, etc. If you are considering science, technology, etc., when you offer that course, you can expect a student, or you can expect a student population who is more efficient or knowledgeable in the area of that particular scientific or technological aspect. You can think about cyber law. If you make the syllabus more interdisciplinary manner, if the teacher is not efficient to comprehend, or if the teacher is not efficient to inculcate oneself the content of the technological content of that particular syllabus, it will be very difficult for that teacher to have some kind of good lecture sessions, because you are having a more knowledgeable community of students before you. So again, what is the way out for that? Again, the way out is the syllabus should not be too interdisciplinary in nature. You can add one or more disciplines together as a part of the learning process, but it should not be over integrated in a sense for an interdisciplinary learning process. And there are other challenges which is coming as a part of interdisciplinary learning. You can see the OBE system, the outcome-based learning pattern that we are following now. So the outcomes are some kind of promises. Outcomes are some kind of promises, and these promises are to be met with. Actually, we have to keep these promises. So the question is, how far in an interdisciplinary atmosphere you can keep these promises in an outcome-based education. I request all of you, those who are in this meeting, to think about this point. how OBE can be implemented or complied in an interdisciplinary approach. Content actually, I think, is next challenge. If you are making something interdisciplinary, I have already mentioned that you will be trying to bring in many things into a program, because you may be adding 2 programs, at least 2 disciplines together. So you are bringing in many set of knowledges into it. So there is a doubt, or there is a confusion for all, which will be compromised and which will be complied. Which part you will comply and which part you will compromise with. To what extent a piece of knowledge that you will include, and what kind of knowledge you will excuse. So the choice is very important. In the learning process, what all things should constitute content is a very important aspect to be looked upon in the case of interdisciplinary learning. And again, if you are increasing the content more, or if you are going for more number of courses or subjects as a part of a program, the time availability for instruction, the time availability for doing exercises, etc., will be very much limited or restricted. So what you can call here is restoration of ethical principles are very important. Ethical principles of what? To restore the ethical principles relating to instruction or the job that we are engaged in. Our job as educators, there are some basic ethical principles. So these ethical principles should not be compromised for the sake of making the course highly interdisciplinary in nature. So the theory part, as I have a serious doubt whether it is compromisable or not, that we have to think. So what next? Now we have mentioned some kind of cautions relating to including interdisciplinary methods in our learning system. Now, what are the qualities? What are the qualities? Integration of methods. Learning methods can be integrated. I think that is the most interesting part of this. We have the lecture method, we have the Socratic method, we have the method of giving assignments and or practical exercises and learning. So when you bring in interdisciplinary method or a kind of interdisciplinary teaching, then I think it is the best venue for integration of methods. You can integrate different methods, or you can bring together different methods so as to enable the learning process. I have given some example. I have mentioned some example in the coming slides, and I think we can discuss it there. How the method, how to teach in an interdisciplinary manner. See, you are sure that there are more than one academic discipline associated with. So the quality is that the job or the profession of educators is becoming more challenging. The persons will become self-reliant, as I mentioned above. They have to increase their confidence. They have to increase their performing level. So they have to do a lot of work. So interdisciplinary method is creating a challenge on the teachers. And as a part of this challenge, I think the system will become more creative or more improved in a sense. And examination of one idea or more ideas are possible. Think of giving a problem question, a simple problem question in your program. So if you are adopting an interdisciplinary method, you can give a problem which is more complicated or a problem which is more challenging to a student. So assessment part also is being good. You can assess the student in a different manner. The student can perform to an answer or to a question in a more efficient manner. So it is very easy for us to bring the distinctiveness in giving credits and all. And your assessment will be more and more good and productive. There should be richer understanding of the theme, both for the students and for the teacher. So you are learning more, you are learning or you are getting exposed to more things. So that exactly is a good thing. And also there should be a coherent learning process. It is actually the a common outcome. It is an ultimate result of interdisciplinary methods. There will be a coherent learning process happening in the case of this particular method. Now, this is the important question: why there should be an interdisciplinary learning process? As I think that platform is becoming more one way, in a sense it is a monotonous. I am only speaking. Can you just type some reasons why the learning should be interdisciplinary? Some reasons for that. The participants, you can either switch on your mic and respond. Otherwise, please type something or share something in the chat. I think there is only one response to that. Anyway, see, expanding the scope of learning is obviously one of the what you call evident reasons. See, I will try to say that the best aim is to enable a student to address the complex needs of the emerging society. See, you can see most of, even in the case of professionals, most of the students who completed a professional degree program are not engaging in their profession, or they are not getting a space in their program, especially in the case of advocates. Even though they complete the LLB degree and they get enrolled, they may be practicing or they may be following this profession for a few period, perhaps for a few months or sometimes for a few years. After that, we are trying to find out new avenues. People are doing certain degrees like MBA or some other courses, certificate programs, etc., so as to enhance their qualification after assuming a professional degree. So why this happens? This happens simply because there is, in any profession, there is a kind of ceiling, or there is a kind of requirement for the professionals. And if you go beyond the ceiling of that, you need to find out some other jobs, or you need to find out some other kind of vocations. Point number two. Point number two is that even if you remain in the profession, your profession is not completed by, or is not supported by the degree that you have. You should have a multidisciplinary awareness in you. You should have a multidisciplinary process, or a kind of thinking. You may come across a case of medical negligence. You may come across a case where the negligence of an engineer happens. You may sometimes come across the professional incapacity of a educator. So you have to identify what are the standards followed by a particular community in a society. And for structuring your knowledge relating to different disciplines, especially a degree like law should be interdisciplinary in nature. You can inculcate the values of taking knowledge from different disciplines in a student in the very beginning itself. So that is the greatest advantage of making things interdisciplinary. Second, if you make things interdisciplinary, the learning process will become more creative. For example, in an interdisciplinary learning process, the student can very well accumulate knowledges relating to different area, and he himself can appreciate which branch of knowledge where he can have a kind of competency. That will be determined or identified by the student himself, whether he is good in economics, whether he is good in maths, whether he is good in philosophy, or whether he is good in any other discipline. He himself can determine. So that kind of a potential is there for the student. A kind of skill development or a skill enhancement is happening through making the courses interdisciplinary. So I think this is the greatest benefit or the greatest reason why our system should be interdisciplinary in nature. And second is the potential qualities of a student. I have already referred to that. Sometimes there will be an inbuilt quality in a person. For example, the concern for or the coordination with some scientific disciplines, for example, biology, etc. If you have such a kind of thing in you, and if you practice law, you can identify your expertise in the area of investigation. You can find your expertise have some potential in the area of forensic science, etc. So a student himself can improve, and that too he can do that while he is undergoing the program itself. He can emerge new knowledges relating to these areas. And there should be a comprehensive solution for the policy formulation. If you become a government employee, or if you become a part of a government department where the policy formulations are happening, the interdisciplinary knowledge will enable you to become a good what you call a good kind of a competent person there. And you can get more than what you get from a mere classroom atmosphere by making your interdisciplinary methods. You are making your methods interdisciplinary in nature. So again, teaching interdisciplinary way, how to teach interdisciplinary manner, or how to teach interdisciplinary way. So simply I will say that I don't know which is the right way for doing that. I simply say that why? Because I strongly believe that it is the spirit of the educator actually influences an interdisciplinary classroom. Because whether an interdisciplinary pattern can be followed within a degree, whether it be in an integrated manner or otherwise, if you want to be yourself efficient as a teacher or successful as a teacher, you have to enhance your knowledge, you have to read a lot, you have to experience a lot. So which is the best way, or which is the ideal way for teaching in an interdisciplinary manner? See, I have no good answer for that. And most of you will experience that. I think if we come to an interaction after the first phase of discussion, I think we can deliberate on this, which is the way out. And keeping the best way away, we can discuss the other possible methods in which the pedagogy or the interdisciplinary teaching can be looked upon or can be implemented. See, normally what happens in a teaching, we are examining a concept or a theme or an idea. That is the basic exercise. For example, if you teach murder, what you are doing? We are examining the concept of murder or what kind of an act amounts to murder. We are examining that. Likewise, in any provision or in any law or in any statute, if you go for such an exercise, what ultimately you do, you are doing an examination of a concept that is in existence. And I think it is very easy to do that in an interdisciplinary manner. And involvement of students in the learning process is the best method for making the process effective. Whatever method you follow, whether it be a problem method or whether it be a lecture method or whatever it be, the effective method or the effective thing is that it should be an inclusive system where you are giving this instruction. The student as well as the orator or the teacher do have a role. Actually, what we are doing here is the wrong method, because I am speaking, you are hearing. So it should not be like that. It should be an involving or an inclusive kind of approach. And what are the techniques that you can use? You can set a problem. A problem can be interdisciplinary in nature. We can just think of the mood problems. The students start to research on different areas of knowledge. So through a problem, you can inculcate or you can make the ideas of different disciplines come together in your lecturing method and make your entire program of interdisciplinary nature more effective. Demonstration of things. You have to show things one by one. For example, can you think of taking your students to a post-mortem venue? Can you think of taking your students to a court where a trial is happening? Can you expose a student where a police officer is preparing a scene mahasar? So in all those venues, you can have a kind of involvement of the students and make them to learn more about the surroundings. And you can open up things. You can open up ideas to the students. For example, if you discuss something relating to death, or if you discuss something relating to abortion, if you discuss something relating to some other areas of law where sociology is coming up, where some kind of politics is coming up, so where some kind of influence of religion is coming up, can you think about a student to work upon any of these disciplines in the context of this particular theme which you are discussing? For example, the view of religion on abortion, the view of economists on religion, abortion. Like that, you can ask a student to think from different perspectives. This is a kind of provocation that you are causing to a student in the course of delivering a particular subject. So you are opening up new field. You are opening up a new avenue for a person to discuss. So that in that way, even the judicial decisions can be taken up as a example where you can discuss things. For example, in Common Cause versus Union of India 2018 decision, you can see the judges are looking into an area where an advocate is arguing about the economics of euthanasia. What constitutes the economics of euthanasia? And there it is very interesting to say that you are having solid economic explanations for justifying your suicide or for justifying your death. Whether your philosophy or your law relating to death permits it or not is a different thing. So in that sense, you can ask a student to go into certain perspectives of a common notion that you are having. So while doing that, the improvement is that he is gaining new knowledge and he is opening up his thought in a particular new way. Along with that, he is earning more and more knowledge about the basic theoretical perception. As in the examples we pointed out, in the case of murder, about murder, in the case of abortion, about the abortion, etc. So this kind of an approach is the best way for teaching interdisciplinary manner. So you have to expose them to new avenues. It may be a small example, or it can enable a student to improve their knowledge in their complementing discipline. So how it happens in law? Coming specifically to law, what are the methods that we can follow for interdisciplinary teaching? See, undoubtedly, law is one of the greatest disciplines where you can see there is a scope for interdisciplinary learning. Why? Can someone say why law is the best area for having a scope for interdisciplinary learning? Anyone?
It includes complex of problems.
Pardon?
Complex of problems.
Yeah.
That's why I think.
Complex of problems. Apart from that, it is there undoubtedly. You think yourself as an advocate instead as a trainer or educator or something like that. You think you are an advocate. Will it make any difference? Is there any answer in the chat box? Exactly. I think Soumya Roy has mentioned one answer. See, as an advocate, you are not sure what kind of or what set of knowledge you are going to deal with. As an advocate, you can come across a problem relating to dam safety, a problem relating to the safety of a building, a problem relating to the conservation of a forest area. You will be coming across the coastal regulatory zone issues. You will be coming up with different kind of things like this. And in all such instances, you are supposed to be a competent person in that discipline. And you are looked upon as a person who do have a knowledge about that particular area. What is the medical procedure to be followed if an emergency case of cardiac arrest of a person is brought into your notice? You can call upon a doctor and take his opinion. That opinion is not binding on a court. If you know the law, it is not binding on a court. The expert opinion is not as such binding. The court can go with it or the court can keep it apart. So what exactly is the knowledge area where you are going to deal with is unpredictable. So if you make the things in an interdisciplinary manner, law will become more interesting in one sense, and it will be more useful for the takers of that particular course. So if you take, I basically take a criminal law subject, that is why I am mentioning that. If you take section 304A of IPC, that is causing death by negligence, you will take medical negligence cases as example. And if you take the offense of theft or offense of extortion, etc., you can add on to it about the concept of movable property, immovable property, something like that. You can think about the concept of possession, ownership, something like that. So you are bringing in concepts from various corners, and you are delivering something. So likewise, every provision or every subject is having a great potential to be delivered in an interdisciplinary manner. Why I say this? You need not want to twin this particular discipline with another discipline. The actual twinning is not required. Twinning in the sense you need not want to integrate this degree with some other degree. It is not essential. Even otherwise, law is a subject where you can potentially deliver your lectures or your syllabus in an interdisciplinary manner. And you can bring any theory that you see around you, even the Newton's laws of motion. If you take that and if you go through the definition of force, criminal force, etc., provided in IPC, you can see some kind of resembling will come in. So in a sense, what we are doing is we are supposed to examine every concept that may come around us in the discourse of our profession, in the sense in the discourse of a particular law. So in a sense, the competency of a lawyer or the competency of the teacher is the rule making thing there, or it is the thumb rule in a sense. If you have a competent teacher, you can see he can simply link this with this particular idea with some other disciplines. So law is in any manner you can see this kind of interdisciplinary methods can be adopted. Let me ask another point. Can you just text in the chat which subject you feel that can be offered in an interdisciplinary manner in law? Which course you can offer in interdisciplinary manner? The course you feel that you can offer in an interdisciplinary manner. Towards the end, we will go through that. I request all the participants to type at least one or two subjects that you feel that you can offer in an interdisciplinary manner. See, the most interesting thing is that, or the most effective way in which you can offer a course in an interdisciplinary manner is to design more number of electives. Because elective course will have a strong potential to offer knowledge in an or offer a particular idea or a theme in an interdisciplinary manner. That is why we are having the medical laws. That is why we are having the law relating to maritime ship, etc. that we are having law relating to many other disciplines. Agriculture, we are having law relating to construction of buildings. We are having law relating to the public administration. In all that sense, we can make a person to learn things which comes beyond the scope of it. So elective papers should be designed in a manner so as to enhance or so as to increase the potential of a particular degree and to make it in an interdisciplinary manner. And you can also see that recognizing courses in effective manner, manner is another important thing. Recognizing courses, I mean, you have some papers which are not actually elective. You have courses which are the core courses. For example, you can think about the papers like transfer of property, civil procedure code, or criminal procedure code. How you can make these courses in interdisciplinary manner should be trained to the teachers. Actually, if you are taking the investigation part, normally what we do is we will try to have a lecture session by an investigating officer who is experienced in that area. That is what we do. In the case of Evidence Act, if we want to speak about some area which is very complicated, we will identify a judge or a judicial officer who is competent to deliver that. So we are including additional lectures so as to increase the effectiveness of the learning. Likewise, the core subjects also should be identified with some techniques so as to make it effective in an interdisciplinary manner. It is also possible. For example, you can create a kind of a role play where a person will be having expertise, or a person do have a know-how in a particular discipline, acting according to that and doing something will make that person more knowledgeable relating to that. For example, a person who is doing some kind of survey of a land or something like that. So if you are doing, you are being introduced to some new metrics, or you are being introduced to some new kind of evaluation and all. So you are getting experienced about the nature of how a particular land is being marked, what is the reasonable things that you have to do while such a drawing is being made. So if you are engaging in that kind of exercises, apart from the theoretical knowledge, you will be getting a practical idea about some new disciplines or some new areas. So this kind of slots or this kind of avenues should be there in the core courses also. And can there be a common pattern for this? That will be a question. We absolutely no is the answer. We cannot have a common pattern for including these kind of additional elements into your common syllabus so as to enable this. This should be a kind of a practical work, or this can be made part of the assignments where a student can be evaluated. So it is again the competency of a teacher or the competency of a particular educator or a teacher to introduce that into the core area of discussion, and thereby making it more productive. So again, the course can be improved without specific mentioning within the syllabus. So this will be an internal arrangement, and this internal arrangement may vary from different departments. In the sense, different areas, this will be different. In the sense, in different institutions, based upon the institution's time availability, the teacher who is taking the paper, and the availability of other resources. Based on this, this kind of exercises may vary, but still this will be a good learning process. And what are the things that you can do for trigger the learning, or how interdisciplinary learning can be triggered? See, actually, interdisciplinary learning should be promoted among the students initially. That is the best method one can adopt. See, we need not want to introduce a syllabus, and we need not want to make it effective all of a sudden. And I think it is not ideal to do that also. You can have an interdisciplinary method of teaching, learning, etc. But there should be many components that trigger a student to be remain within that kind of an atmosphere. And identifying the students, those who are interested to remain in that atmosphere, is of prominent significance or importance. How triggering of interdisciplinary learning can be done? See, you can conduct seminars. Obviously, all departments, all universities, all kind of institutions will do this. And this also can be treated as one of such exercises. So colloquium, seminars, roundtable discussions, etc. are examples for this. But I suggest this in a particular sequence. See, this should be a pattern of making the learning process interdisciplinary. First, you have to conduct a seminar on an area where an interdisciplinary learning can be encouraged. For example, you are identifying a seminar to be conducted on forensic sciences. So that is open to many. And many teachers may be coming, or many scholars may be coming, or many officials may be coming to deliver lecture. And this is actually a group activity, in a kind of a group of persons come together and deliberate, and it will go. It will be having some effect on some people, and it will not have any kind of effect on most of them who are participating in it. Normally, the seminars used to be like that. A person will be delivering many things, and at least if there is 100%, 1 or 2 will be gathering something back. Why this seminar is? This seminar, we know that it is not a good exercise, or it is not a very productive exercise. But still, there should be a seminar. Why? Because after having such a seminar, you can identify the focus area of delivering an interdisciplinary session or a stream of a kind of discourse or a course as such. You are identifying a particular area. For example, you are identifying psychology, you are identifying psychiatry, or you are identifying some biological samples examination. Some areas you are identifying from this broad area of forensic sciences. And after that, on the same identified area, you should conduct a colloquium. Colloquium means it will be a kind of discussion where more number of participants are not expected, but a group of interested participants along with scholars are identified, and a deliberation is happening. So you will get more focused into that learning process. You can identify those persons who are really interested to go with such an interdisciplinary approach towards a particular subject. Then the third phase, you can conduct some kind of round table exercises where the selected number of participants will be very minimal. You may have 15 to 20 participants maximum, and with their presence, you will be discussing on many ideas which are so core and crucial to the concept that you have, or the theme that you have identified. So this kind of a structuring of conducting programs within the university, that too through a prolonged period. For example, in our case, we have students at least for a period of 5 years who is doing an undergraduate program. So if you assign a particular number of teachers, if you assign a particular group of students to associate with this kind of an exercise, and in the course of this 5-year period, we can create at least 5 or 6 experts in the area of a particular knowledge or a particular theme, which will be more creative and which will be productive in the sense of or in the mean of interdisciplinary learning. So this kind of a phase-based arrangement should be there, and there should be a constant effort put into by some set of teachers to an identified or a particular area of research. So that is actually very much encouraging in creating new knowledge resources and competent policy makers through this kind of interdisciplinary approach. Case law discussions are a short-term based, but what you call a method which is having a high triggering value or a triggering effect on the students. For example, if a landmark case have been decided, which seems to be interdisciplinary in nature, demonetization, again, something related to medical laws, technological laws, if this kind of a decision come before the decision is made, those kind of decisions can be taken up in the classroom atmosphere, and some kind of exercises like debates, etc., can be conducted. And if someone is there from the Cochin University, for the PG courses, they are having something called as the Wednesday seminar. This kind of a program can be organized, even at least a case of such prominence come up. And this will encourage the students to look into different areas and to explore the decision made by the court, or criticize or evaluate the decision made by the court. So this is again a potential method that can be followed to trigger or to create interest in students in interdisciplinary learning. Drafting, pleading, conveyancing, we have a paper. But normally what we do is that we will give some kind of normal exercises or very common exercises to the students. But I think what happens if you give them a problem, an imaginary problem or a hypothetical thing, which is interdisciplinary in nature, which creates some challenges in a student to make a drafting of a plaint or drafting of a complaint, or to make a reply, or to make some kind of other drafting, for example, a bail application or something like that. If the drafting exercises and pleading exercises is made, or that paper is made by introducing some problems that encourages interdisciplinary learning, that can be a potential method to involve the students to read more and to make their answers different, or to make their drafting method different, and to make a creative solution for the interdisciplinary requirement of learning. Quizzing or quiz programs or some kind of interrogative exercises can be conducted by the teachers, which actually instigates the students to think about various disciplines and make them to read more literature. Encouraging element is that they will be forced to read some more literature, and that will be beneficial in the interdisciplinary learning process. Again, you can think about conducting debates. Normally, we do that. You can think of conducting debates. Study tours and study visits can be very, very helpful. I will share my own experience. Once I was into a program like this, a teachers training program in Bangalore. We happened to visit the forensic science laboratory in Bangalore at that time, and we only spared I think around 5 or 6 hours within that particular laboratory. But we got an opportunity to interact with some of the scientists or some of the officers there, and they helped us to examine certain aspects which is related to physical science, biological science, etc., which was actually inspiring us to learn more about that, and which was inspiring us to think how these kind of knowledges can be used to manipulate or to kind of to interpret or to use it for the practical discussions in legal discipline or in the discipline of law. So these kind of exposures can again trigger a student to think about having an interdisciplinary approach in teaching learning process. And earlier we have seen that this is the basic triggers that we have discussed. And what can be the advanced activities? See, mood problems. We should encourage the students to take up multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary mood problems for their competitions. And we should ourselves try to make some problems which are forcing them to read some other disciplines a lot for coming up with their arguments. So we are having a potential area where we can promote them to do some advanced activities that encourages interdisciplinary learning process. Legal aid and adalats, that is another avenue of learning for us. How legal aid and adalats we can bring interdisciplinary aspect into it. See, you just design a legal aid activity, or you just conduct a legal adalat relating to the cases that is pending in connection with some banking institutions or some monetary institutions, some finance companies, etc. What is the benefit? You are identifying cases that is coming clearly under banking transactions. Is it productive in any manner? See, actually, we had a similar experience where one particular monitoring company came up for some kind of adalat to be conducted in association with DLSA. It was an adalat under a particular finance company. So the students, those who are associating with that adalat activity, was being familiarized to the transaction that is happening in NFBCs, non-financial banking companies or institutions. So that kind of an exposure will make them to get real life experience, how a debt is coming, how it is being cleared, what are the monetary transactions happening there, what are the cautions to be taken. So that kind of a discipline they are actually being introduced to. So legal adalat can be a venue for interdisciplinary learning. Public interest litigations. Can't the students be, actually I am not sure whether this is ethical to say like this or not. Can the student be inspired or be asked to file some public interest litigations on some complex areas where the students can research and work and run a public interest litigation? For example, some environmental issues which is complicated, conservation of some biological resources, handling of some biological resources, and even as in the case of some prohibited drugs, etc., that is there in the market. Drugs, I mean, it's not narcotic drugs, but the medicines that is prohibited and there in the market. Improvement of some policy frameworks, improvement in certain legislations being sought for, scrapping such certain legal provisions which is not actually what you call viable or reasonable. So if a student is going for such a public interest litigation, he need to do a lot of exercises or lot of research in connection with this. That again inspire him to do activities in an interdisciplinary manner. Promoting art, literature, etc. They can think about creating artistic work, literature, drama, etc. based on certain complex problems where this law is intersecting with socio-scientific issues. And I will just attract your attention. I'm just giving you an example. During 1900s, my research area was clinical trials. In 1900s, this kind of clinical experimentations with newly developed medicines were happening all over the country. And in most cases, it was an instance of exploitation and no one knows it. And in that scenario, you can see one drama or one drama actually written by Bernard Shaw. He has written a drama called Doctor's Dilemma. Actually, that do have principles of law in it. They do have the principles of science in it. They do have the principle of social science, and it is also a part of literature. So literature can be promoted. Those who are interested to write, those who are interested to create drama and all, they can be inspired to make some interdisciplinary stuff which is having knowledge streams from different areas. So this will be encouraging for the students to research upon and learn more about things that too which will be interesting for them to do, because they are involving in it because they have an interest to do that. Writing journal articles in an interdisciplinary manner, undoubtedly everyone will know that. That also is a potential way for doing this exercise. You can also think about having case comments. Case comments, for example, if you write some case comment on certain areas, for example, some controversial decisions made by the court. This is actually a very simple exercise. At least you can conduct, for example, now as a School of Legal Studies were having this practice, but I will not claim this is an effective practice, but we started doing it. We are having some kind of roundtable conferences on the recent important decisions delivered by various courts within the country or outside the country. For example, Roe versus Wade was now redefined by Dobbs versus Jackson. So when this new judgment of Dobbs versus Jackson was delivered by American Supreme Court, we thought of having a roundtable discussion on the topic Dobbs versus Jackson. I will not say that it was extremely productive, but we had a handful of literature written by the participants. If there are 30 or 20 participants, at least 10 or 12 is turning out with some literature. So while you are exercising or while you are writing something on these kind of science areas related to medical science or any other areas, you are made to research on things which is coming outside your basic discipline. What are the methods of causing abortion? Whether those methods are torturous, whether there is invasiveness in it, And on the basis you are arguing whether this kind of a method is reasonable or not. So you are learning lot many things from disciplines outside your scope. So this kind of case comments after a brief round of discussions, conducting seminars, colloquium, or roundtables will be an effective tool for encouraging students to come up with some interdisciplinary approach in their learning. You can also conduct some mock trials. Mock trials is something similar to that of what you call this moot court and all. You can give some problem as a assignment to the students, and you can make them to argue in the class without creating any other kind of arguments, but creative arguments relating to that particular point. And this will encourage them to go into details of certain knowledges that is shared by other disciplines. See, what are the benefits of interdisciplinary learning? See, you can see the element of assignment, which we are now having in our system. These assignments can be very productively used if you are having interdisciplinary methods. Otherwise, you will be giving just a topic. He will be copying it from some other areas, and he will be giving you. But if you have a 2-lined or 3-lined or 3-sentence problem to be answered, it will be making him to creatively respond to the assignment. So that is a good way. Or if you use interdisciplinary method, the assignment and assessment also is improving. The use of these techniques will be improved if you are using this kind of techniques. And most important thing is that we in the sense the student as well as the teacher will be recognizing the mistakes and problems that we have. We will be having some kind of preconceived notions. All these preconceived notions will be spoiled, or it will be stopped once you have to once you are asked to recognize the mistakes and problems that you are having. So a kind of interdisciplinary approach will allow or enable us to remove all kind of bias that we have towards a subject. So recognizing the mistakes or removing bias is another benefit of this kind of approach. You will be thinking critically. You are not just logical. Your analogy will be there. You will be analyzing things. As Immanuel Kant pointed out, there will be a synthesis. You will be coming up with new resolutions. You will be coming up with new principles. So that will be guaranteed in an interdisciplinary system. You can accommodate ambiguity. Accommodating ambiguity means you can accommodate the doubts or the concerns of the society in your research. You are not one-sided. You are not prejudiced. You can allow the system to involve or include more and more notions into it. So you are improving the literature relating to a particular discipline. Evolving ethical values, new ethical values and principles can be evolved as a part of this discussion. So all this can be identified as the benefits of this method. So I just is about to conclude. See, you can see there is rule change and changing rules happening in an interdisciplinary method. Rule change means the rules of your basic way of teaching is changed. You are involving the students into the process. You yourself is involving more. and there is a freedom of thought, there is a freedom of creativity, there is a freedom of interaction that is there in an interdisciplinary learning atmosphere. And you need a new curriculum in the sense the curriculum need to be improved every now and then, not exactly you have to revise it every year. I am not saying like that, but if a curriculum needs a refiguring or restructuring, you have to do it on time. Otherwise, interdisciplinary learning will not be effective. The changes that you need to introduce in the curriculum, in the syllabus, etc., need to be provided on time. Otherwise, it will create no effect. If the syllabus is not improved, if the syllabus is not changed whenever it is demanding such a change, the process will be futile. Hours of instruction is creating a great challenge. So normally we have the practice of dividing hours of instruction for all subjects on an equal basis. For example, every subject may have 5 hours a week or 6 hours a week, like something like that. But normally I say that is not a good thing. Depending upon the content, depending upon the need for interdisciplinary approach, the need for having more number of exercises, which need more number of hours of instruction, and where more classes are demanded by the student for a particular subject, there should be a flexibility on this hours of instruction, especially when you are following an interdisciplinary teaching method. For example, sometimes you may need only very few hours for the subjects like interpretation of statutes, jurisprudence, etc. And you may need more hours where you can club the subjects like criminal procedure code, criminal law, etc. with an interdisciplinary perspective. Grading system, we have the grading system, but the grades should reflect the effectiveness of interdisciplinary learning. It should not be based as on the reproduction of answers and all, not merely on the reproduction of answers and all, but the grade should reflect the effectiveness of interdisciplinary learning. It should be reflected in the grade. Otherwise, an interdisciplinary approach will not be encouraging for a student. So the grading system should have the reflection of this interdisciplinary learning element. You need comprehensiveness in all things. You need comprehensiveness. But we should realize that in interdisciplinary learning, comprehensiveness is not guaranteed. You don't think that when you learn a commerce degree and a law degree together, if it is in an integrated mode, comprehensive knowledge of both streams are expected. Always there should be a primary degree or a premier degree otherwise. The premier degree will be having some advantages. So the law will be, in an LLB course, law will be more on the focus. Law will be more on the syllabus. And you have to give other disciplines as complementing the legal knowledge. So comprehensiveness of all disciplines should not be kept as a guarantee or as a norm for an interdisciplinary learning process. I think if you do that, there is no purpose for having an interdisciplinary approach. Major discipline-centered structure should be there. If you are learning or if you like to have an LLB degree, you have to follow that. And this will create, nowadays, we will not feel that this is an issue, but I feel that if the new education policy get into operation, people may become master of all trades, but will not be successful in any one discipline. So whatever kind of words that you use, whether it be integration, whether it be interdisciplinary, whether it be multidisciplinary, whatever be, you should give a choice to the student to opt one of the degrees which should be the premier degree of that student. And all these kind of multidisciplinariness, interdisciplinariness, all these things should come to complement his fundamental or the basic degree that he have. So to the end, what I like to say is whether interdisciplinary teaching learning method is good or bad, I will say it is relative. Why it is relative? Because it is depending upon many aspects, from the syllabus that you have, from the teacher who is offering the course, from the student community that you have in front of you. Based on this and based on many more factors, this is purely relative. How far you will be successful in having an interdisciplinary atmosphere in your institution, I am not sure it will be productive for the department or not. From my experience, personally, I say that the greatest threat of interdisciplinary approach is the lack of student orientation. Lack of student orientation means the structure of this learning method is not focusing on the diversity as well as the diverse needs of the students. That is a greatest threat, because in most cases we will have a group of students, and that too comparatively the lesser portion of the student community who are really encouraged by this interdisciplinary method, and this method will be making the other group in the class, and that to the majority group, in no man's land. So you should be very focused while integrating the degree, while making it interdisciplinary, as well as while structuring a pattern for an interdisciplinary teaching learning method. So ultimately, thanks a lot for the organizers for making me to read on this area initially, because when I was assigned with this topic, I was optionless, and it made me to read something on this area. And thank you for the organizers for doing that. I was not in the process of reading anything for last couple of months. So they made me to read a new thing, and I shared what I have experienced as well as what I have learned through that reading. I will not say that this is an exclusive and authority kind of presentation that I have made. I just shared my experience. So possibly, I think if there is any inputs from the participants, we can go into that. And thank you, Al Azhar Law College, for inviting me for this function. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. On behalf of Al Azhar Law College and on behalf of everyone here, I would like to express our deepest gratitude for your valuable and insightful session on the topic pedagogical methods for developing interdisciplinary approach in teaching. And your expertise and knowledge on this subject matter have been truly enlightening and have left us with much to reflect on. So thank you once again. Thank you, sir. If anyone have any queries or doubts, kindly ask or else put it in the chat box. Okay, I think.
There is nothing today. Queries, I think. So everything is clear. Yes, Priscilla.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for coming
Okay, fine. Thank
and
you.
sharing your valuable time.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Participants can leave now and will be joined at 1:30 for the afternoon session. Thank you for joining.